Start started now with practice 9-1 FTP data mapping and the HCM cloud. So the prerequisite for this exercise will make sure that you have the Oracle HCM cloud adapter connection, and we call it HCM demo. And we are going to connect to our FTP server. That's the FTP demo connection. These were all created back in practice 5-1. In your resources folder, there are also some artifact assets that should be available to you, and you'll need these to look at various schemas, native schemas, as well as the integration that you are going to import into your environment. And this particular use case is a larger use case involving two integrations. We are going to do one of them in this lab exercise, where we are going to essentially get data from an FTP server, and then we are going to retrieve that file, generate the appropriate data file, do the archive, and load that into UCM, and then initiate that load into the SIM cloud. All of this will involve a lot of mapping, a lot of information, and to speed up the time, we are going to take an existing integration flow that has most of these activities done and mapping done. And then once we clone that into our environment, we are going to then do a little bit of extra work for the data mapping. So you can see how that works in your environment for this test exercise. So the setup task is to upload the template integration flow. Normally, as an instruction would, do this in a larger classroom, but you are doing yourself, so you need to do it yourself. So follow me as I go through the task one and so forth to bring in the integrations file. We will go into our environment. Let's do that now to the integration page, where you click on import, go to your resources folder and you choose that integration file, and it's to create pending workers template .ir file in your resources directory. So I am going to bring that in. Import is fine. You don't have to click on configuration just yet, and that brings it into our environment. Now, the thing about this integration, as it says in the description, it's an incomplete integration flow because there is still a few tasks to be done, which essentially that's what this exercise is all about. Let's get started here with part one, where we are going to start by working on the integration flow. First, cloning it to a specific one for you, so it doesn't interfere with any other students. So I'm going to copy that name. We'll do it clone. We are going to give it that uh, unique name that we have asked you to use, and I'll change that to 28, which is my unique number. And at this point, I I would probably change the description, since not an incomplete template anymore. And I would just say this is my implementation for now. And click on clone. So with that completed, we are ready to go. Ready to get to work on this particular one. And what we are going to do here in step two is we are going to open the integrations for editing and look at all these activities that have been already accomplished there. As you'll notice, it's going to be this map to write file action, the one that's highlighted. We are going to be doing most of our work in our exercise, so the wording is appropriate. There's a lot of steps here to do a lot of specific mapping. We recommended that you to take your time and do it precisely correct. Otherwise, you are going to have some error when it get executed. Let me open up mine, and let's take a look at that integrations. And you can see all these activities that are there. Yeah, it's going to be this one here that we are going to be spending most of our time doing our mapping, but we are still going to look at some of these other activities as well to see what the logic is. I'll do a meta highlight for you. This represents the triggers right there, and this the initiate flow, which is receiving the data from the client. In this case, there is not so much data as there is a trigger of making this flow go, which immediately triggers it to go read a file from our PP server. Once reads that file in, then we are going to write a file based upon the data that we map from the real reading file. Once we do the write file action, we can now retrieve that data in that file that's been written gptop into a format, and that gformat file can now send to the UCM. When it gets sent to the UCM, of course, the mapping provides the data that's going to be sent. We are going to send an email for notification purposes. We will wait 2 minutes, and then we will send a signal to HCM to have to them import that G file that was imported into SCM to UCM. Uh, Import that into the SCM cloud environment, and of course the mapper precedes that activity, and then a final email notifications to let the person know that that task has been completed. So as we break each of these down, let's kind of walk through the live exercises, and we will start with doing a quick edit of the FTP location. And what we want to do here is make sure that we were looking at the right location on our TP server. So set this accordingly to what your environment is uniquely set to your set to for your FTP server. So I'll click on edit, and as you will notice, the template has to generate directory. So generate directory and the file name that doesn't exist here. Well, I'm going to go over into the basic info, hit next, and then on the read file page is where I'm going to change that to my directory location. Now, keep tracking of this, the info directory that we're providing as an argument, and then this file name is what we are going to have to make sure is available on your our FTP server. So from here, I can click on next and next and next, and then done to save that mapping. And you'll get this dialog box. It says this may update any configuration changes in our environment. And again, in this case, it won't change any mapping data. But indeed, we always get that warning. You will also notice this little yellow warning tag. The reason that is there is because in the template we deleted the map that precedes by uh, uh, that normally every invocation, every connection is preceded by a mapper. See, this one precedes this one precedes this one, and so forth. Well, we